A warm good evening and pleasant welcome to one and all gathered here for this fabulous fourth day FTP program, Research Methodologies, a New Perspective. In this forum, I delightfully welcome our resource person, great achiever, Dr. Maria C. Lucero, founder and CEO, lead Philippines Metro Manila College. He is going to shower his knowledge on the topic exploring qualitative research. Sir, welcome you, sir, for this International FDP Forum.
Yeah, thank you so much for this invitation.
It's my pleasure to introduce our resource person. He has so many achievements on his credit. It's our time to know about him. Dr. Mario C. Lucero, sir, has the following areas of expertise. He is an educational leadership and management, and also he is a curriculum and instruction and human resources, communication arts, and he is also a member of ICT, research, business education, fiscal management, and strategic planning. He finished his Doctor of Philosophy in Education, major in Educational Management in 2010 with a dissertation on the humanities of principles, a case study of Filipino educational leaders at the University of Santo Tomas. He also took the Master of Arts in English 2012. And he has received numerous awards from various institutions and organizations, locally, internationally, for more than 50 countries, from more than 50 countries across the globe. He's an intellectual and international world record holder of 4 international prestigious books of world record. But because of his poems on COVID-19 published at the Amazons, books and journals in Asia, Europe, and America. He is served as an ambassador of many organizations in more than 50 countries, country heads of many institutions and organizations, and director of organizations in Asia and Southeast Asian countries. He holds 50 honorary doctorates from different colleges and universities abroad and more than 100 honorary doctorates from different international recognized organizations. Really, that itself a great task, sir, holding a 50 doctorate honoraries. And as a graduate school of professor in different universities, he handled the course in the Masters of Doctoral programs in education and in teaching English. He had taught in the College of Education, graduate school at the University of Philippines, and has become a Dean of College of San Benaldo Rizal. He received a degree of peerage as a Prince of Kachul Management Kingdom, Prince of Bali, Indonesia, and Dato Ronaldo Street at Bowling Kingdom. He is a vlogger of Springerfield School International and the founder, president of Leadership in Education, Academy on Development, Philippines, and other 7 international organizations. He was also named the King of Education by Macedonian Association of YES UCAN International United Team. Sir, we are really very much Honored to have you in this forum. I think we have an amazing resource person with his wonderful academic achievements, not only in his own country, international level, all over the globe. Sir, now the session is yours, sir. And also, I welcome all the participants and my college professors, and my beloved principal, chairman, and heads of various departments. Sir, now the session is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahalak, for that generous introduction. Thank you also to Dr. Mutmaina for extending, of course, the invitation to me as a resource seeker for this international development faculty program organized by your institution in India. I am Dr. Marius Lucero. I am a research director, and I'm very happy to share with you, of course, the topic on exploring qualitative research. Okay, as our moderator have made mention that I had a paper in my dissertation, yeah, in my dissertation, okay, and that dissertation focuses on qualitative research. Dr. Maybe kindly, I can hear some noise. Yeah, okay, thank you so much. So my paper had focused on the hermeneutics of principalship, and that's an example of a qualitative paper. Okay, so I'd like to share with you later on my discussion, my PowerPoint, but I'd like to probably start by defining what qualitative research is all about. Okay, it's a process of naturalistic inquiry that seeks an in-depth understanding of social phenomenon within their natural setting. So we're looking into phenomena that can be described in a natural setting. Okay, it focuses on the why rather than the what. So, as if you tell me your story and I will tell the whole world. There are things that can never be quantified, and therefore it is qualified. So we cannot measure sometimes experience using numerical forms. So we use words to describe them. We qualify experiences, we qualify a phenomenon. Okay, so I'd like to share with you now, of course, my my topic. Okay, and let me see if you can now see the topic. That can you hear? Can you see now? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much. So, yes, I'd like to start off by um, presenting you collecting qualitative data. Okay, and how do we collect uh, qualitative data? Okay, so what is a qualitative data? It's analysis through preliminary reading and reflecting the development of descriptions and themes representing the information in pictures and in making broad interpretations of information. So when we collect qualitative data, then it involves a sort of reading and reflecting some of the descriptions verbalized by our key informants. And therefore, this is something relating to or measuring or measured by the quality of something rather than the quantity. So it's not about the quality, but it's more of the quantity. Okay. So what is the process of qualitative data collection? Number one is you have to identify your participants and size. So we don't call our participants as subjects in qualitative research, but we call them as our participants or key informants. So you just have to look into how many participants will you be involving. Do you have access of that particular data? Okay. And then you have to determine the type of data that you will collect and then develop data collection forms, whether you use interview, whether you use documentary analysis or focus group discussion, and administer the process in an ethical manner, which means to say that, okay, you should not be forcing your key informants, then therefore they have to agree that they will become participants of our study. Okay, so here are some examples of data gathering procedure. Okay, so number one is through purposeful sampling. Researchers international or intentionally select individuals and sites to learn and understand the central phenomena. For example, I am an educator and a principal, and if I would like to explore on the experiences of principal, I will have to select individuals, okay, like principals, like educational leaders, who would be able to give me some insights about the study. Okay, although no set guides exist for how many participants or sites to use, these guidelines must be followed. Number one is we need to have uh, cases in the study, and there are only few participants. It could be around 15 to 20 people during the grounded theory study, and explore the narrative stories of one individual in narrative research. So we are looking into the narratives. Okay, you narrate stories. Then when you narrate stories, I will tell also your stories by creating something. Okay, so these are some examples of purposeful sampling. We have maximal variation sampling, extreme case sampling, theory or concept sampling, homogeneous sampling, critical sampling, opportunistic sampling, snowball sampling, confirming, and disconfirming sampling. I'd like to discuss each one and how we're going to use that in a research paper. For example, we have here maximal variation sampling. So it is a purposeful sampling strategy in which the researcher samples cases or individuals that differ on some characteristics or trait. Now, example of that would be the age. Okay, they differ in age. Okay, that's an example of maximal variation sampling. Another example, groups of, let's say, professionals. Okay, when we're in talking about the academe, a group would belong to school heads, group would belong to teachers, or group would belong to top management, something like that. So that's an example of maximal variation sampling. Another one is we also have the extreme case sampling. And what is this all about? It's a form of purposeful sampling in the an outlier case or one that displays extreme characteristics. So when we are looking to extreme case sampling, we are just have to pinpoint an outstanding success stories or an event that is something very different that we can gather data for that. Okay, so example would be outstanding cases, crisis events. Okay, now let's take for example the case of COVID-19 and look into how educators probably experience this particular phenomenon. So that's an example of extreme case sampling. Moving on to the next type, we have the theory or concept sampling. Okay, it is a purposeful sampling strategy. Okay, in which the researcher samples individuals or sites because they can help the researcher generate or discover a theory or specific concepts within the theory. Example now of purposeful sampling strategy. Example, if I need teachers, okay, with specialization in science, then I have to look into that particular group of people wherein I can now generate or discover a theory within the specific theory. So that's an example of theory or concept sampling. Moving on to the homogeneous sampling. So what is this all about? So the researcher purposefully samples individuals or sites based on membership in a subgroup that has defining characteristic. Homogeneous, they're similar. Okay, for example, teachers with specialization in English, teachers with specialization in science. So we have that homogeneous sampling. Okay. Another one is we have the critical sampling. Okay. And what is this all about? So we have to identify the case that can illustrate some phenomenon dramatically. I'll give you an example of critical sampling. Let's take, for example, teachers who suffer illnesses, stresses due to the profession. Okay, so it's an example of critical samples because we need to identify the case. So we look into the case of teachers who have been ill because of stresses in the academe. So this is an example of critical sampling. Okay, another example or typology is the opportunistic sampling. It is a purposeful something undertaken after the research begins to take advantage of the unfolding events that will help answer research questions. So, example, you are already in the process of conducting the research, and there are some situations that emerge. Okay, there are some samples, or let's say informants that emerge in the study. It unfolds in the events. Then we call this as an opportunistic sample. Okay, so this is very common, the snowball sampling technique. Okay, we call it the chain referral technique. It is a purposeful sampling that typically proceeds after study begins and occur when the researcher asks participants to recommend over individuals to study. For example, if I have here one respondent or key informant about a particular phenomenon, I will now be asking that particular key informant to recommend another one. Okay, so it's what we call chain referral technique. It's a snowball, okay, sampling technique, and that's very common. Okay, so I think this is now the last, the confirming and disconfirming sampling, which means to say that it is a purposeful strategy used during a study to follow up on specific case to test or explore further specific findings. Whether you something like you confirm or disconfirm the findings of the study. Okay, so how will you gain access to the people and sites? So how will we would we be able to gain access to this particular group of people? So gaining access to the site or individuals in a qualitative inquiry involves obtaining permission at the different levels as the organization, the site, the individuals, the campus, or the institutional board. For example, you want to look into the life, okay, or experiences or a phenomenon of a certain university. So you have to ask permission from the institutional board review, okay, or to the individual or to the organization. And therefore, to have access with that is also very challenging. Now, I'd like to highlight one difficult access for for this particular type of design is to seek institutional review board approval. And what is this all about? It ensures that data reported is credible and accurate, that the participants' right and confidentiality are protected. Now, when we are conducting qualitative research paper, okay, the ethical issues must be considered. Number one is we don't have to disclose the name of the key informants. Okay. Number two, that the particular verbalization or those things uttered during the interview should be kept with utmost confidentiality. Okay. When you are now able to use those data, then it has to be kept in a particular storage room and it has to be disposed properly. And one thing for sure is that there must be a consent from the key informants. Now, if we are involving minors, okay, as part of the study, then we need to ask permission from adults, like for example, parents of our learners, or something that we could probably look into the approval. Example would be guards. Qualitative research through the uh, IRB process. Number one is determine if individuals reviewing proposals in the review board are familiar with the qualitative research. So when you are now asking permission from your institution, if they're familiar with your design, okay, then we have to look into the procedures on how you would look into the potential risks of people in the study, okay, because this is very delicate, okay, and you also have to provide details that will protect the anonymity of participants. Participants should be anonymous, okay? And there is a need to respect the research site and not to disturb or disrupt as it's little as possible, okay? We have to provide details for opportunities to give feedback, reciprocate in some way to those individuals in the study, and acknowledge that during your prolonged interaction with the participants, you may adopt their beliefs and even become an advocate for their ideas, especially on those, um, let's say, study, okay, wherein you will have to stay in certain community for a period of time. Okay, now, um, another thing is that we have to look into the potential power, okay, that may occur between yourself and participants, and how your study will address these imbalances. Because there might be instances that you become so familiar with the people and that there are biases. Okay. To detail how much time you spend for the research. And you include in the project description a list of the interview questions so that reviewers on the institutional board can determine how sensitive the questions may be. Okay, now there's also this particular concept on gatekeeper. A gatekeeper is an individual that has an official or unofficial role at the site. It provides the entrance to site, helps researchers locate people, and assists in the identification of places to the study. Now, one example of these are those who are in authority. For example, you have written up an a particular person in that university, okay, and that person will now approve, okay, that you will conduct a study, then that person is the gatekeeper, whether you are allowed to conduct a study or you will be not allowed to conduct the study, disallowed to conduct the study. Okay, so um, no, there must be also proper ways of collecting information. Okay, and this information may be collected through observations, through interviews and questionnaires, through documentary analysis, and through audiovisual materials. Okay. And in the process of observing, okay, we need to select a site to be observed. Okay. And there must be an ease into the site slowly by looking around, okay, looking into who are the participants, and then you have to identify who or what to be observed, when to observe, and how long you observe. Okay, and determine your role as the observer. Conduct multiple observations over time to obtain the best understanding of the site and the individuals. And then you design some means for recording notes during an observation, which they can be written through text. Okay, now let's move on to other issues. It's like, for example, recording. Okay, recording your observation. Okay, and that you have to have descriptive field notes and reflective field notes. Now, descriptive field notes refers to or refer to the record of description of the event or the activities on people, while reflective field notes would refer to your own reflection after observation. Okay, so make yourself known, but remain unobtrusive. And after observing, slowly withdraw from the site. Okay, so during interviews and probably focus group discussion, you have to develop certain rapport to the key informant. Okay, do not ask questions that are very vulgar or very something like that would demean, okay, the personality of the person, but you ask questions politely so that you would be able to get more information from the person. Okay, so during the interview, you know, researchers should ask more participants in general, and it should be open ended. Okay, and you have to record your answer. You must have with you your tape recorder or something like your cell phones, okay, to record the interview, and then later on you transcribe the interviews and come up with the themes. Okay, now what are the advantages and disadvantages of conducting interview? So for the advantages, it provides useful information when you cannot directly observe the participants. And they permit participants to describe detailed information. So you are allowing the participants to talk, to discuss about the experiences. But the disadvantages would be it provides only information filtered through the views of the interviewers. So it can be filtered. Interview data may be deceptive and provide the perspective the interviewee wants the researcher to hear. And the presence of the researcher may affect how the interviewee responds. For example, I am the interviewer, then the proper way of asking questions might affect the responses of the interviewee. And interview responses may also not be articulate, perceptive, or not clear. Sometimes If they are not articulate, then you have difficulties transcribing the answers. Okay. Now, what are the different in types of interview and open-ended questions and questions? We have one-on-one interviews, so one person to another person. We also have focus group interviews. We have a group of individual. It could be 4 or to 6, but not more than that. We can have telephone interview. You can have electronic or email interviews. So these are examples of interview questionnaires. Okay, and remember, it must be an open-ended question. Okay, now in conducting interviews, okay, you need to identify the interviewees. You determine the type of interview you will use. During the interview, you have to audio tape the questions and responses, and then take brief notes during the interview. Okay, take down notes while conducting the interview. Another one, you have to obtain the consent as permission from the interview to participate in the study. You have a plan, but be flexible. Use probes to obtain additional information. Okay, additional questions, you can use that while conducting interview, and be courteous and professional when the interview is over. Okay, so you need to say, well, thank you for participating in this particular data gathering procedure. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for giving me an honest answers to the questions. Okay, now there is also this what I call documentary analysis. You can analyze documents in qualitative research. You can have some speeches, you can have stories, you can have letters, journals. Okay, this consists of public and private record that qualitative researchers obtain about the site or the participants in the study. They can include newspapers, minutes of the meeting, personal journals, and letters. So these are examples of documents. Okay. Now, there are advantages also and disadvantages of using documents. Advantages is that it's being in the language and word of the participants. It's ready for analysis without the necessary transcription that is required, observational or interview data. But the disadvantage would be documents are sometimes difficult to locate and obtain. Okay, information may not be available to the public. Information may be located in distance archives. The documents may be incomplete, inauthentic, or inaccurate. And sometimes in personal documents such as diaries or letters, the handwriting may be hard to read. So these are the disadvantages. So I think you must choose what kind of, let's say, methodology or typology of analysis that you will use, whether you use documentary analysis, whether you use this is what I call focus group discussion or interview. Okay, now, how do we collect documents now? So in collecting documents, we have to identify the type of documents that we use, the information that we need, okay? And consider both public and private documents also, okay? And then once it's located, you ask permission from appropriate individuals. If you ask participants to keep a journal, provide specific instruction about the procedures of taking down journals, okay? Or writing a journal. Once you have permission to use documents, examine them for accuracy, completeness, and usefulness in answering the research questions in your study. And you have to record information from the documents, okay? Now, we can also have some audiovisual materials, no? So it consists of images or sounds that researchers collect to help them understand central phenomenon under the study. So you can use pictures, okay? You can use audio visuals or sound, okay? Materials, okay? For you to study, okay? And what are the disadvantages also and advantages of this? For advantages, people easily relate to images because they are so pervasive in our society. Images provide an opportunity for the participants to share directly their perceptions and reality. Images such as videotapes and films, for example, provide extensive data about the real life as people visualize it. So those are the advantages. How about the disadvantages? Okay, disadvantages would be Okay, they are difficult to analyze. Okay, and then you as a researcher um, also have this particular may influence the data that is being gathered. Okay, and then there is also this what they call in selecting the photos. Okay, you have to really look into photo albums, examine or requesting that certain type of drawing to be sketched, or you may impose your meaning of the phenomenon on participants rather than obtaining the participants' views. So, for example, when you are now understanding, try to understand or interpret sketches, so you are now the one putting meaning into the drawing rather than obtaining the meaning from the participants. So before I end my presentation to you tonight, I'd like to discuss probably with you typologies of qualitative research. And I think you are familiar with it. Okay, number one would be, let's have ethnography. Okay, and then we also have here grounded theory, we have case study, we have phenomenology, we have focus group, and we also have some what we call action research. Okay, or we can also have some have six typologies, some have five, but I think these are very helpful categorization that we need to look into. Number one is the ethnography. Now, ethnography would focus on group of people, a certain community, which would share the same beliefs, same ethnicity, while narrative phenomenology would describe certain phenomenon of a study. Grounded theory is something like a particular experience or phenomenon which is grounded in a theory, and another theory will emerge from the study. Okay, case study would also look into how different cases on stories can be useful part of qualitative paper, and the other one is also action research. And action research would really look into how we can address a certain problem at this moment, okay, and put solutions to it through qualitative study. Okay, so with that, I would like to thank you for listening, okay, and for the time that you have spent, okay, for the sharing that I have given to you in terms of how we explore qualitative research, what are the advantages and disadvantages on the use of different methodologies in collecting data, and the typologies of research of qualitative research that you can employ in your own respective area. I, as an educator, okay, had been inclined writing this particular qualitative paper, and have conducted a lot of studies on qualitative paper or qualitative research design. I'm not focusing on qualitative research design, and I only have very little of particular topics on quantitative because it entails computation, it entails generalization. But looking into the description of a phenomenon, I think there are experiences that we cannot quantify. Okay, then therefore we must qualify. So thank you so much for the invitation, and I hope I was able to give you insights, give you a particular input on exploring qualitative research. Thank you so much, and good afternoon, good evening to each and everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, and your precise, insightful informations regarding exploring qualitative data in a purposeful way, sir. That is the need of the hour for every researcher, and that too, the researcher when wanted to do their research in an innovative way. This is very, very important one, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your purposeful session and spending your valuable time with us, sir. Uh, Dear participants, if you have any queries, you can ask
Yeah, do
them,
you have
sir.
any questions so far? Yes, sir.
Yes. Good. Good afternoon. From yes, I'm Ibrahim Haruna. I'm speaking from Finland.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you, Doc, for your presentation. Very awesome, well detailed, outlined presentation. Thank you. My question is on sampling methods. You elaborated on the methods of sampling. What parameters should be considered to select a sampling method in the case of an unsuccessful method in the course of a research? For example, you want to start a research and you select a particular sampling method, and in the course of the research you realize that it is a wrong sampling method. What parameters should be considered?
Okay,
Thank
number
you.
one is, of course, you have to look into the problem of your paper, okay? And it also depends on the kind or typology of qualitative research that you're going to employ. For example, so if it's a phenomenology, and that would center on lived experiences of teachers, and you need to have certain parameters, whether are you going to look into the number of years as experience, or we just have to focus on teachers with these achievements. So you have to set your criteria so that it would fit on certain parameter. Okay, you decide certain criteria which would probably address the question in the study. Now, just like for example, in my study on the hermeneutics of principalship, so there's certain parameter that I've set is that my in order for me to extract meaningful experiences, then I should get principals who already have rendered services for 10 years and above, so that I could easily say that these are experienced principals, rather than getting only somebody is very new, then therefore they can only give you very little experience from that. So we need to create our own parameters based on the statement of the problem, based on the exploration of certain phenomena. Now, in examples of some cases in the study, for example, a case of, let's say, a bullied educator, somebody have experienced bullying on social media, then we have to again look into a criteria that this person belong to that, so that when you extract data from the person, he or she would be able to give you meaningful experiences. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Any questions from any other questions from participant side?
Sir, good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Sir, my question is that what type of method that we use in the literature, either quantitative or qualitative method? I think in literature we usually employ the qualitative method. Can we use the quantitative method in the study of literature?
Yeah, you can still get studies results from the quantitative, okay, study, just to support the theme. Okay, so in the review of related literature, of course, you have to explore a lot of pieces of literature that would give us the framework, that would give us the whole concept of the study. It doesn't matter whether it's quantity or qualitative paper, because this is on the review of related literature. So we are just so much focused on the methodology later on. Okay, so the methods of data gathering. So if it's purely qualitative, then therefore the methods, okay, the typologies, the instruments should also be a qualitative concept. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it's quantity or quality, sir. You can have that in your review of related literature, but in the process of data gathering, it must be qualitative if you are using qualitative design.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so
Thank
we
you.
have here 102 participants from India, and thank you so much for your time. Okay,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
okay, thank you, and thank
Thank
you
you, sir.
also for those questions that you have raised.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of AVP College of Arts and Science, Tripur, India, and Cape Comorin Trust, and all the participants. I thank you, sir. And also now I welcome Dr. Tanushree Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KL University, Hyderabad. For the second session, her topic is article writing for high impact journals. Now it's time to have an intro about our Madam Dr. Tanushree Sarkar.
Good evening all. Dr. Tanushree Sarkar, KL University, Hyderabad, an experienced assistant professor of English, linguist, qualified professional with a doctoral degree in linguistics and phonetics with proven track record of proposing phonology, phonetics, morphology, outlining and writing engaging contents in the higher education industry. A vast research career as an UGC JRF SRF, skilled in computational linguistics in general and natural language parsing, PRAT, corpus annotations, POS tagging, phonetic transcription, phonology, morphology in specific. Additionally, skilled in Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, programming languages like Perl and regular expressions. Strong research professional with an MA, MPhil, PhD in linguistics and phonetics. Focused in linguistics and phonetics from the English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. Published papers in many international and national journals. She also given lectures on various platforms, both national and international. Ma'am, now the session is yours. Tanushree, ma'am.
Okay. So I was discussing about article writing for high impact journal, and then I discussed about these three major components, which are the research, the publication, and the journals, which are the things which I'm going to discuss in my lecture today. Now, research, we all know that it comes from that idea, right, which we get in our areas, and it's a process of systematic inquiry that entails collection of data, documentation of critical information and analysis and all of that. Now, basically, research is conducted to evaluate the validity of an idea or the hypothesis, right? And then we have to bring all sorts of support for that idea, and we have to prove that this is what we have found and what are the future inquiries that can be made based on the research. Now, as far as publication is concerned, research nowadays, it's nothing if it's not published, right? If suppose I previously, I remember that, in our lab, in language labs and all, we used to do so many small experiments and all, but not everything we used to publish. Some assignments also we used to do, but they used to be worth of publication, but that time we didn't know that it can be published. So now we all know the importance of publication. So if you have any good research, it should be published in good journals, good scholarly journals, or professional or trade publications, some magazines, and as book chapters and all. Now, as far as publication is concerned, we can publish it in many places. Now, as the journal publications in general are considered to be the best ones. Now, in journals also, we have something called high impact journals. Like we have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 journals in Scopus. And the Q1 journals, 10% of the Q1 journals, I can say that they fall into the category of high impact journals. They are the best ones, right? Now, how do we know that these are high impact journals? Now, simply if we Google search also, we type our area and we select our area, we will get the journals which are high impact journals in our area. So basically, it collaborate every 2 years. They come out with the list of journals which qualify into becoming the high impact journals. And if you have one such publication also in 2 years, also you have one that high impact journal, that is worth it. Even that is better than 10 normal general Scopus publications. Now, this is the scenario currently, the like which tells us about the evolution of academia also. That earlier it was just publish. Like nobody used to tell us that you must publish or you have to publish. People used to publish like if they used to feel that we should publish this work and all. Then there was a time when publication was much in demand, and they used to say that publish or perish. Okay, so you better publish it because publication is a must. Then came the publishing in high impact journals or perish. It's not normal journals, but you should publish in high impact journals. And now the situation is that you publish frequently in high impact journals and maybe you won't perish. Okay, so we don't want to make ourselves perished. So we really want to publish in frequently in high impact journals, if not frequently also, but 1 or 2 high impact journal publications in 2 years or 1 year. So when we are planning to publish in high impact journals, these are the few things which we need to keep in mind. Okay, so see, general journal publication may not be that specific, but when it comes to high impact journals, apart from following all the rules and regulations of that particular journal, see, every journal asks for some they give a kind of pattern we need to follow, or they mention APA style or IEEE style, whatever it is, right? So you have to exactly follow that. Whatever the pattern they ask, those the technical things, I mean to say the formatting things, that you have to follow. That I am not discussing all those things. That differs from journal to journal. If they want a particular format, you have to follow that, if according to them. Here my focus is the writing part especially, and apart from that, how you can make your publication easier in when you are trying to publish in high impact journals. Am I audible to all of you? Just I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're very much audible.
Okay, thank you. So these are the few things which I summarized. It's a lot of things I can discuss about, but these are the few things which I listed out that you have to keep in mind when you are trying to publish in high impact journals. First, your study needs to solve a big and relevant problem. Okay, so it cannot be a small extended work of something and all. I'm not telling that every work has to be a new one. See, Newton discovered the laws of nature or whatever. He discovered that. Still scientists are discovering many things related to that. That is fine. Okay, but if you want to publish in a high impact journal, you have to do something extraordinary in that repeatedly researched area. Also, you have to come up with a big or relevant problem. So first try to come up with a problem, or ask yourself, what is the problem should be a big one, as simple as that, when you are trying to publish in high impact journals. Your research needs to be robust. So if you are claiming something, you need to provide all sorts of examples, and don't come to a conclusion unless you are 100% sure about that. Okay, so not anything like, okay, now AI chat GPT in teaching is trending, so I must do something in that. That is not going to work, right? So you have to go in depth, and then if really you come up with a problem and you have researched fully about it and you have solid data, robustness means a lot of data. High impact journals are, even in our areas, language or literature, it needs a lot of support or data. Data cannot be just 10 or to 5 figures or 10 to 5 persons and all. It has to be in thousands, in hundreds. Okay, and you need to tell a story. In high impact journals, the writing flow should be like a very good narration and a very good narrative story. You need figures that your reader can grasp quickly. The tables also you have to prepare such that the figures, whatever you are using, it has to be very, very powerful and impactful and well suited to your research. Your writing needs to be clear and concise. High impact journals doesn't ask for lengthy articles and all. One thing is clear, simple English, compact English. That's it. Focus on your abstract also. Abstract is the first thing which they look into, right? They ask for abstracts, not the full articles, most of the high impact journals. So even if they are asking for the full manuscript also, you focus mainly on the abstract. Not mainly means abstract you cannot neglect. That you should keep in mind. So your abstract also should tell a story. Right, in books you have a preface or something. Same way you need to prepare your abstract. I'll come to that. I'll discuss about all of this in the following sections. So again, your abstract needs to tell a story. You need to follow the journal guidelines meticulously. Many of us, sometimes we feel very lazy. We have suppose we are following APA style. So suppose a Willy journal or a nature journal is asking us to, we are sending a paper there. What we do, okay, let me just send this particular format only and let's see. But don't ever try to do that. Okay, they immediately reject you, and one time rejection means most of the cases though they don't entertain rejected papers. This thing also you should know. Okay, and once you get it there means you have a high chances of again and again publishing in that particular journal. So be very careful. Unless you come up with a good stuff, don't try to publish in a high impact journal. And follow the journal guidelines meticulously. These people don't have time for editing, the formatting stuff and all. If they see there is editing problems and all, immediately they reject. Okay, so be very careful. Your cover letter, most of these high impact journals, they ask for a cover letter. That also sometimes we take it for granted. That cover letter, they are like something we can send, okay, because our main paper is very good. So cover letter, something I'll send. No, convince the editor through your cover letter that your journal is your manuscript is a really good one. It's worth publishing. So that's how your cover letter should be. Now, everything now I'll discuss in detail as far as writing is concerned. Here in my lecture, I'll be focusing on the writing part, not the publication processing part and all. Okay, writing is a part of the it's part of publishing in your high impact journals. So I'll be focusing on that writing component only. So of course, when it comes to publishing, you have your ideas, everything ready, right? But now you have to narrate that story. You have to write that story. So you have to feel it. So if you have done a very good research, if it is an original one, automatically the flow in writing will come. Okay, it should be a clear, compelling narrative. What type of paper do I want to write? It's a good thing to start with. Okay, so if it can be depending on that, you have to set the tone basically. So if it is a full or original article, it will be a substantial and significant completed piece of research, right? There can be letters, rapid communications also, where you need to cut short, much shorter than the full articles you have to present. Then review papers and all stuff like that. For that also you have to there is no place to introduce new information, just you need to review that part. So depending on these, you have to change your writing style. Now here we will be focusing on the main manuscript when you are trying to publish your main manuscript, not the reviewing part and all. Okay, so at the first time when you're preparing the manuscript, what are the things you will be keeping in mind? Now these are the components which we usually find. This is the paper structure or content, so to say, that most of us are acquainted with. We have an abstract, introduction, methods, results, discussions, tables, and figures and references. Now, apart from that, first thing is choosing a good title. Okay, most papers, are not, they get rejected because of the abstract or the title for the first time. These high impact journals, they focus on the abstract part a lot because they don't have time, to go through everything. So if your abstract is not good enough, if it's not solid enough, they don't even invite you to send the full paper. That is the thing. And before that, the title, writing a good title. An explicit title can help the help others to attract citations because of the way in which the scientists look for relevant literature to cite and all. Then all of so basically you have to come up with a very good title, then a powerful abstract. Now most publishers make all abstracts free to access, right? So put something important and new at the beginning. Don't put something make the middle part longer than necessary as background information and others. As with the title, be concise as possible, and an abstract should be 200 words maximum. Some journals, even they, that's why read the guidelines. Some journals, they clearly mention the number of words they want for the abstract. Sometimes we miss that. So when you are writing an abstract, these should be your objectives. So when writing, improve your research question. Once submitted, convince editors it's worth of peer reviewed. After publication, getting the rest of the article read. So that is the role of the abstract. Okay, so that you should keep in mind. Then this can be an example of a good abstract. You can read it over there. The aim of this thesis is to deploy and develop ecological modernization theory, dominant approach to explaining and all. So here you can see there is, in the abstract also, there is an introduction, then the methods also is being discussed, then the conclusion also, and with few examples. And this is definitely a bad abstract. First of all, you can see it's very clear, like any, reference should not be given in the abstract. That is another thing. In this study, I will investigate the role that local governments play in climate governance. Local governments have responsibility for a number of policy areas and all. So this is very short abstract. This is just, 50 to 75 words abstract, maybe, because the font size is also more here. So you can see that. Also, though it has a good introduction, the body, and you see the conclusion, there is hardly anything there. So this is really a bad abstract. Now, good abstract tells the reader what is the reason for writing the thesis. What are the current approaches and gaps in the literature? What are your research questions and aims? Which methodology have you used? That also should be mentioned. What are the main findings and what are the main conclusions and implications of your research? All these things, all these elements has to be there in the abstract. So basically, as far as your abstract structure is concerned, it should be rational, your method should be there should be results, and there should be a conclusion. After abstracts, the keywords, the most neglected one. But please give importance to the keywords. If you are aiming to write for high impact journals, then keywords should represent the key concepts. They should be descriptive. Descriptive means each keyword should tell a story, right? That if you are using phonetics, means your research covers a lot of things related to phonetics. Make use of those keywords. Keywords should reflect a collective understanding of the topic, and usually limit your keywords or phrases to 3 to 4. All high impact journals, maximum 5 keywords. Don't overload it. And when you are all these high impact journals, automatically you don't have to worry about it. Also, most of the journals I have seen that there is a limit for keywords. So 5, it is the limit. So I would suggest 3 to 4 keywords, it's fine. Use synonyms of words throughout and reuse the keywords and phrases throughout your article or abstract. Make sure of that. Now, coming to the main body. So this, when we teach, or when we discuss about essay writing or other topics, there is main body, there is an introduction, then the main body, and there is a conclusion. But here, apart from after your abstract comes the main body. Inside main body you have introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and all of that. Now introduction also, there will be a first paragraph, second paragraph, last paragraph. So in the first paragraph, provide the essential interpretation based on your key findings, include a main piece of supporting evidence. So whatever you are stating, be very careful, give some sort of supporting evidence. That is very important. Without evidence, don't claim anything. Very, very crucial. Then the second paragraph, you compare and contrast to previous studies, highlight the strengths and limitations of the study, discuss any unexpected findings, always welcomed. So don't always try to follow the pattern, the regular things. If it's something which is problematic and unexpected, they are always welcomed. Summarize the hypothesis and purpose of the study, highlight the significance of the study, and discuss the potential of the study. Now, research introduction generally is, valuing your topic in general. What is the value of your topic in your field or area? Why you need to explore this area for research. Now, existing research on your variables, you have to discuss about that, some limitations, gaps, and all. The theoreticals, if you are including a lot of theories, then that also should be a part of your introduction. And the contribution of your study to the body of the language. So basically your objectives, you can call it. Then, of course, the literature review. It should be independent. It can be your independent or individual discussion on variables, and also you should be focusing on how to write when developing framework to establish relationships. So apart from discussing about the sources and all, you have to, and please focus on the relevant articles when you are discussing literature service. Some articles, some very good works in the literature, that is one thing. And your main focus should be last 2 to 1 year's work. Then research methodology. Like here I have given some examples of, like, it depends from depends the research area which you are investigating. So usually it can be a population sample, or how the questionnaire was distributed, or questionnaire sources, analysis techniques, regression, progression model. It depends the type of research you are doing. So that research methodology, you have to clearly state a qualitative or a quantitative why. Here also you have to give evidence. Then the data analysis and the results part. Of course, if it is a descriptive statistics should be there. See, most of the high impact journals, they want data. Okay, now some of you who belong to literature or some other areas, why not? In literature also, we can provide data, right? Maybe not statistically, but data. And nowadays, any data, they can be represented statistically. Not only nowadays, previously also, but now I see a lot of literature journals where they're beautifully making use of statistics and showing the data. And again, it depends, right? But always, whether it is literature, humanities, fine arts, scientific journals, you please, there should be good amount of data. And then hypothesis testing and hypothesis summary, depending on your research. Then there should be, after the data and the data analysis, don't miss this part, discussion. Data analysis is different, where you will be one by one, you will be analyzing the results or your data, whatever problems you are facing and all. Then you come to a discussion part where you start with the objective of your study, that what was your objective and how your results compare to results from previous research, why a certain relationship may be significant or insignificant in your research, what does the significance and insignificance of relationship show in your field of study. So use the theory. Okay, then coming to the conclusion. Now, conclusion is also not that simple. Conclusion can be divided into many parts again. Again, high impact journals. So there is nothing shortcut sort of thing there. So conclusion also, you have to dedicate good amount of time. So there will be limitations and future research directions. What are the limitations of your research and all? And would you like your future research to change the conceptual scope, or any changes or recommendations to analytical techniques? All of that you have to discuss. Implications. So under conclusions, you will have limitations also and implications also. Limitations doesn't mean that your research is not good. You have to state, if you are able to state properly that these are the limitations of this research, then the reviewers or the editors will be very happy that you know your research very well. So you can talk about the limitations also. The implications, obviously, how can your research benefit at individual, management, or organizational level? What are the policy implications of your study? What are the scope of your research and all? Then the reference part. I know this is the most annoying part. We get, which causes headaches also, to jot down all, especially when we are writing for high impact journals. Lot of papers you have to refer to. Okay, so but you have to meticulously write down or list down all the references. Don't commit that error of missing one reference. If you are quoting someone, that is different, you quote. If you are referring, paraphrasing, whatever it is, you have to acknowledge and refer, right? And also avoid excessive self-citations. If you are referring to your previous works, that there should be a limited. I have seen many people, they feel that in this way my citations for that paper will increase. That is good, but that is not a good way of representing yourself. So avoid doing that. Avoid excessive citations of publications from the same region also. Okay, so same regions means there is a specific topic, the similar, suppose Persian sounds in Bangla. So Persian sounds in Bangla by 10 different authors. Don't do that. You can go for Persian sounds in Telugu, Persian sounds in this, so you have to mix it up. And don't inflate the manuscript with too many references also. That is a bad fashion. Okay, nobody is asked you open any high impact journal, you will see the number is maximum 10 to 12, right? Tables and figures, of course, they should be neat and clean, and you have to label it properly, and as many as possible. Okay, even and tables and figures doesn't mean you will not write. You will write also, and at the same time you will display a table or figure. And of course, tell a story. I started with this. Make your research tell a story. Because if it is entertaining, right, then only, ultimately editors are also your audience, right? If they enjoy your work, then you have a very strong chance of publication there. So your research needs to start by asking a big question and forming logical arguments. Also try to fill the gaps in your story as much as possible. Additionally, your paper should tell a clear, compelling story. Then, once you are done with that, edit your write-up, please. Even though you are a good language, you have good command over the English language, then also I would suggest, take help of the professionals or your friends or someone. Ask them to just go through the paper. Even if they belong to different areas also, just ask them to check the grammatical part or something like that before sending it to the editor. Be very, very careful of that. Don't do silly mistakes, the grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, and don't send those kind of papers to them. They won't even look at it also. Be very careful of that. So always edit your write-up. Of course, you need to write a convincing cover letter. This should not be underestimated. There is a logic behind this. Why these high impact journals are asking for cover letters? Not all journals, they ask for cover letter. I know many, UGC care journals and all, they never ask. Some, Q3, Q4 journals, they never ask. But Q2, Q1, and of course the high impact journals, they ask for a cover letter. So there, when you are writing that letter to the chief editor or someone, please be in a very convincing tone, and also good cover letter must outline the theme of the paper, the novelty of the paper, and must explain the relevance of the paper to the journal. Now these days already there is a format available that is okay, or else you can make your cover letter and send it to the journals. Always there are samples available online, you can go for any one of them, but of course you have to prepare your own cover letter. Now, this is something which I got from the net, from wordpress.com, and you can see the difference between a high impact paper and low impact paper. So in a high impact paper, they will talk about the law of gravity. A low impact paper will talk about that oranges also follow the law of gravity. I hope you understand what is the sarcasm there. Okay, so basically your work should be very, very original. All right, don't try to just rephrase, paraphrase, and try to publish in a high impact journal. And see, they all will have your access to your emails and all. This is the age of AI and chat GPT and what all I know, but try to be original. Okay, and also keep in mind, see, if you wait for 1 year, 2 years and come up with a good paper, there is no rush, because hurriedly if you are sending and the rejection comes, as I told you earlier also, they are not going to entertain you again and again. So be very careful. Try to publish at the first go so that you create a good impression. Now, these are my references, and thank you. And I'm ready to take up some questions from the audience.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.
Absolutely nice presentation from me as like my budding artist.
Okay.
And I have two questions to ask to you, ma'am.
Yes, please.
One thing is, as I am a budding scholar,
Okay.
is it is necessary to put all the articles in conferences or something? Because every time when I'm receiving all the conferences brochure, they are giving 2 months or 3 months timing, and I'm as a budding, I can't able to write as fast to publish that article in that conferences or seminars, something like that. So is it very much necessary to be publishing in like that, or generally we can, after completing, as you told, ma'am, after we complete our papers, we can slowly publish in some good articles?
Exactly. Yes. Don't run over, I will share my story also. When I started, now also, it's not that I have, I have hundreds of high impact journal papers and all. I also started from somewhere, right? I was also budding researcher. During that time, whatever used to come to me, I used to just start preparing in a week. I used to create a paper and I used to send. Okay, so keep those papers for some UGC care listed journals and all, some small conferences and all. If you are trying to publish, if your aim is to publish, and already I mentioned high impact journals, in a year, one paper is more than enough. Okay, more than enough, because it's not possible for you also to publish a good quality paper in a high impact journal within 2 months. So my suggestion would be, rather than running behind the number of conferences or when they will come and all, you prepare your research, you do research, and once that paper is ready, you search or look for the journals, the good ones. Okay, in between conference presentations, whatever you are getting, you can publish some average or below average papers of yours. But simultaneously, you work towards a good paper. You take 1 year, 2 year, doesn't matter. But prepare a very good paper and publish it. Then you go for publication. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And another question is that it is my suggestion for myself
Yeah.
That is for first time I'm writing all the papers. So I started to think that publishing in high impact factor is not right now possible for me because I'm just started to write. So I
Yes.
thought to publish in some UGC, UGC. Is that okay for ma'am? Because
Which
everybody,
area
every
you belong
staffs,
to? May I know which
I
area?
belong to computer science, ma'am.
I would suggest don't go for UGC at all if you are CSE. Okay, there are lot of Scopus Index journals for you people. If you were into English or humanities, I would have said that okay, you go for UGC care. For you, for computer science people, I'll say please search the net. You start from Q4 journals in Scopus, then you move towards Q2, Q1, and high impact journals. Please don't try to, I'm not against UGC journals and it's not like that. But since you are technical people and you should know this, that nowadays it's Web of Science, Scopus, these publications only they will consider. Okay, as far as CSC, EC, other technical these things are concerned. But as students, of course, you can go for UGC journal publication. But I have seen many times some good research papers which has potential to get published in Scopus, but they are not trying also. See, once you try for Q4, your paper will be rejected, but you will know the process, the quality, the standard, right? Eventually, after 1 year, you will publish Q4 paper, then send it to Q3. It will be rejected maybe, but that rejected paper, you review it and then you send it to Q4, maybe it will be accepted. Like that, step by step. There is no miraculous thing that is going to happen. Okay, even great scientists also, they can't do or publish at a go like a high impact journal. You have to take small steps, but definitely please search for some Q4 journals there, because there are plenty. Okay, in as far as computer science is concerned. Yes. Amnit Kaur, I would like to take your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good
Okay.
evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.
Ma'am, I'm from literature.
Yes.
My field is literature. I am also working.
Okay.
I'm okay. So, ma'am, the problem is my field is visual arts and literature.
Okay.
Though I'm doing PhD on that, right?
Okay.
So we tend to work in MLA format usually, but when it comes to publication or getting published in some good journals, they there is a formatting differentiation, right? Sometimes we
Yes.
have to send the
Yes.
paper in Chicago in APA, so that creates I find it a problem, that formatting, and I have to every time it consumes a lot of time. So
That is
can
true. But see, how you got
can you
used to
give
your
some tips about formatting?
I'll tell you. See, how can you recollect? When did you get to learn about MLA format? See, MLA still, it is also a format, right? Maybe
Yes,
it's a
ma'am.
simple one. Yes. Same way, try once. Okay. As I'll
Yes,
always
ma'am.
tell you this thing. Try once, APA style. Second time, it will be little more easier for you. That is the only way. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You just in your area only, you download a paper in APA style. First, you have a read it top to bottom, everything. Make small notes, subsections, heading, and all for your convenience. You can do that, and then what you can do, you can you prepare the paper like your MLA style only. Then you follow those rules and apply. But I feel that automatically you can follow that if you are following these tricks and tips. But see, it is time consuming. There is no, you are telling about APA style, then high impact journals or IEEE Explorer and all they have. It's way more complicated for tables and figures also. And but believe me, I am from language background, linguistics background.
Yes, ma'am.
um it will take you maybe 2 papers. You publish or you just write 2 APA style papers. Third time you will feel at ease. You will not go back to MLA style. Take my words. Okay, it's
Yes,
about
ma'am.
practice. It's about practice, and just read 1 or 2 APA style papers. You will
Okay, ma'am.
automatically have that idea. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, as a researcher, there's always this urge that whichever like journal you come across and you want to get published because because
Yes.
during the
But
course
I
of
will
your
say
study,
focus
so
on your
is there an identification that okay, sometimes I sent a paper to a journal and later my paper got rejected also, but it was not because it was a social sciences journal, and my paper was more or less language focused, but later
okay.
I got to know that it was not a great one. It was not
Mm,
even UGC care listed. So
mm.
it
Sometimes
was a
very,
blessing in disguise.
yeah, sometimes
So
good papers of ours get published in a very average one, right?
yes,
What
ma'am.
I have done is I always aim for the best one. Okay, so when I was
Yes,
a
ma'am.
budding researcher, also still I am a budding researcher. I would love to call myself like that, but or every time we keep trying, right? So there are small tricks which are very individual specific, which suppose, but I can only share how I'm doing it. So I know that my this particular work is capable of Q4. Okay, but
Yes,
still
ma'am.
I will send it to a Q3 or a Q2. Okay, because eventually I will get feedback from there, then I will work towards my paper again, and then I will be 100% sure that it will get published in Q4.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this is the process, and you have to keep try. Initially it will take some time, it will take some
Yes,
time,
ma'am.
but believe me,
Yes, ma'am.
once you are into it, it will become an addiction. It will be an addiction to you, so you have to reach to that level. Once you are addicted to it, it will be like your WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter. Okay, that like,
Thank you,
all
ma'am.
the time you will be searching for good journals, this that your papers will be there. But always remember this thing, that do your research first. You should have good amount of write up and all of that, then you
Yes,
try finding things on the net. And
yes,
sometimes
ma'am.
it's the other way around also. When you are confident, what you can do, you can suppose you have one journal in mind that okay, that journal is really good in my area, so let me just check what are the things or what are the papers they are publishing these days. So based on that, you also try uh, preparing a paper. That also you can do. There is no
Yes,
harm.
ma'am.
Okay? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Doug. Yes, my
Yes.
name is
Good
Harun
afternoon.
Ibrahim. I'm
Yes.
speaking from Finland. Yes,
Okay.
thank you for your presentation. I mean, it's very awesome presentation, well outlined. I have learned a lot from you. My
Oh,
question
thank
is
you.
on abstract.
Mm.
Yes, my question is on abstract and discussion. You
Okay.
elaborated on it. Yes,
Yes.
it's a scenario. It's a scenario. Assuming you are a CEO of a company,
Hmm.
or assuming you are a researcher, you are done with your research,
Hmm.
and you want to pitch for potential
Hmm.
sponsors to sponsor your
Hmm.
research.
Hmm.
Between abstract and
Hmm.
discussion,
Hmm.
yes, between abstract and discussion, which
Hmm.
of them would
Hmm.
you pitch to your potential sponsors and why? Between abstract and discussion, which
Okay.
of these would
Hmm.
you pitch to your
Hmm.
potential sponsors and why to get the sponsorship? Thank you.
If you will ask me, then definitely the abstract. Okay, because if I don't know the introductory part and all, because in discussion we skip the introduction parts most of the time. It's more about the the your analysis part, and how you are connecting your objective to your resultant. If I know the abstract, means I can comprehend that how what are the things which went into the research and what the research is about, or and also what are the resultants. So abstract is a full platter for me, right? So I'll have a glance of everything. So obviously in this world of today hardly we have any time. So and in this scenario, as you said, of course I'll go for an abstract, okay, rather than a discussion, because discussion still doesn't cover everything. An abstract will have everything. It's a compressed version of a summary, right? So definitely an abstract.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for the
ma'am. My
wonderful
pleasure.
I still have one question, ma'am.
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you have talked about Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4.
Yes.
So, how to get to know which journals belongs to which category, as well as how to find out the fake one,
Where to find the fake one?
journal? Yes.
Okay. Now, first thing, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 are quartiles. Okay. Like there are many indexing communities. We can say there is Scopus, Web of Science, and many like that. So in India, we prefer Scopus or Web of Science. So Web of Science indexing also has Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and Scopus also has Q1, Q3, Q4. Best way to find out is go to SCIMAGO, SCIMAGO. If you will go there, their authentic official site, and then search for the journal. If the journal comes out, if it is there, which means it's an authentic journal. If it's not listed there, then it's not authentic. Similarly, you can go to Scopus, you can find it out. Go to the Scopus original journal site or Web of Science original official website. Okay, you can go either of two. Else, you can go to SCIMAGO, which covers both Scopus and your Web of Science, and it will show you everything. Your impact factor, Q1 or Q2 or Q3, anything you want to. But these are the authentic sites you should visit. Don't go to a journal, and many journals claim many things, right? But ultimately, if you are going to Scopus and checking it, you will see that that journal is not even there. Okay, so rather than going to the journal, first you check whether that journal name is there listed or not, right? Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Today's topic is rather relevant because the budding researchers confront the problem in the case of publishing research articles.
Yes.
The question is simply,
Hmm.
to be frank, how to improve our language for jargonize the research language. When I my proposal, my research guide told me, to be frank, the paper is not up to the jargons of the article or the proposal. So my suggestion is, to be frank, how to improve, how to jargonize the research language.
The language.
Yes, ma'am.
You are asking about the English language or research language?
English language itself.
Okay. Now, as far as English language is concerned, practice. You need to practice writing. There is no other way to learn language other than practice, whether it is listening, writing, reading, or speaking. The moment you see, suppose for you Arabic, if I'm not wrong, Arabic or Persian, whichever language you speak, did anyone taught you properly, or it's so naturally coming to you, right? English is a foreign language to us, so it takes some time. So if we can create a environment like our mother tongue, then automatically you will be very, very confident of the other tongue, that is your English language. So start writing. At a go, you cannot be perfect. You will commit mistakes, and mistakes are the best way to learn. So commit mistakes, again go back and again improve. Now improving, you read. Reading directly helps you in writing. If you are facing problem in writing, read 100 papers, then you will be able to write one good paper. Okay, that's what best researchers in the world do. Always do that. Read at least 60 to 70 papers. Then you will be writing one good paper with your own research. I'm not asking you to copy those 60, 70 papers. No. Automatically, you will see there is a flow coming in your writing. Right, Salim?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from participants' side?
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.
Myself, Dr. Renuka.
Yes, hi,
And
Renuka.
my question is, ma'am, what would be
the method of data analysis in social science.
Okay. In
The
social
best
sciences,
method.
yeah. Okay. Social sciences, it can be qualitative or quantitative. Okay. Either it can be
Qualitative method.
qualitative.
Qualitative.
So qualitative also you can come up with the data. You list out the people. Okay. Suppose these many people are facing this problem, for example. Okay. I don't
Yeah.
have depth in your area, just I'm assuming, since so these many. So whatever you have, you list it out and put it in the form of a data. That's it. And if you know some technical people, a maths people or some, ask them to graphically represent it for you. They can easily do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am.
So you can represent your data like that. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, I think ma'am has given a very clear, crystal clear explanation. Ma'am, really, it's a great task. Rather than writing a research project, writing in the article is
Ma'am, reading the thing. The reading is an excellent art. You know, buy, all of you buy Kindle or something, download maximum journals, okay, and read as much as possible. Then you will see the flow in your writing. Okay. Yeah.
really writing article in nowadays is a very tough task
It's
for
a tough
everyone.
task with regular jobs, teaching and all. It's really tough. Yeah.
You clearly explained them. Explained
Thank
how
you.
to
Thank you.
research in every nook and corner of good publication and how to publish before publishing. What are the components of writing an article? Really tremendous and lovely explanation we had in this session, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
I owe my gratitude to you
Okay.
on behalf of AVP College of Arts and Science, Tirupur, India, and Cape Comoran Trust, and on behalf of the participants from all over India and my own colleagues from AVP College of Arts and Science.
Thank you,
it has
ma'am.
been-
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's my pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
If possible, we'll meet in person, ma'am. We'll
Surely.
college soil, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
And also, no, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And also, I thank today's first session guest, Mario Luzro sir, once again, and Anusri Sarkar ma'am for their valuable sessions and spending their valuable time with us. And I hope so. Today we had a great session with those two literary legends. Once again, I thank all the participants and my dear colleagues from my own institutions. Thank you, one and all. Let us wind up today's session, and we'll have yet another session by tomorrow.